Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we have an amazing guest. We have Melissa from Choosing Your Health, and she teaches people how to go whole food, plant-based, and thrive. And she is absolutely thriving. If you see some of her videos, she's had a huge transformation with many things, including her hair. And we have so much to talk about today. So let's hop right into it. Hey, Melissa, how's it going?
Hey, Jillian. I'm just excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am so
Super
stoked to
honored.
have you on. So we have a lot to talk about. And I know you are a plant-based holistic nutritionist. You know so much, but first I want to start with your story. So what first led you to plant foods? What was the transformation? What exactly happened?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because I blame it on a turkey on Thanksgiving. My sister was preparing. This was like back in 2002. Okay. So we're
Hmm.
going way, way, way back. My sister was preparing a turkey for Thanksgiving and she sliced it open. She's just getting ready to get it all good and yummy, right? And
Yeah.
she slices it open. And what does she see? She sees this translucent, clear, huge looking something. Later on, we discovered it's a parasite. And that was enough for me to go cold turkey the exact same day, Jillian. So I totally went vegetarian on that day. And I didn't know that the parasite was actually an impetus to a healing journey I didn't even know I needed. See, I had become so comfortable being sick. I didn't know any different. I had chronic asthma, the type where you're waking up at night and it feels like five different people are on your chest. You can't breathe. I had psoriasis. I was constipated. And as a teen, I had horrible cystic acne. I was fatigued. I was borderline anemic. And then, stunted hair growth on top of that. I was just sick and I thought it was my normal. Along the lines, I was introduced to a vegan diet. And the vegan diet was kind of cool because I was like, whoa, there's a connection between health and meat and health and cheese. But unfortunately, though I was a vegan, I eventually became a vegan. I fell into the bad habit of, for several years, binging on lots of processed food. And this is not to downplay any vegans out there. It's just the way I did veganism. And unfortunately, it made me sick. So I was eating tons of white bread, all right, processed veggie meat, tons of sugar. And soon enough, after eating that way for years and years on end, coupled with not going to sleep and just a lot of bad habits, that's when it got real. One morning I woke up. I couldn't get out of bed, Jillian. I was flat out sick. And I got to my phone and I called, the nearest physician. And I was like, because that time I was in school. And so it was like the university center, hospital clinic type thing. And I was
Hmm.
like, I need to get some tests done. I'm really not feeling well. I could hardly move. They ran all these tests. And then I was diagnosed with basically pre-leukemia. And yeah,
Oh.
I was really, really sick. And I mean, I was vegan, right?
Hmm.
And so after that moment, I knew that I had two decisions: pick up the phone call to do something about my health, or let it continue to ring and let my body just do whatever it wanted. And that day I said, I'm going to pick up the call because I remembered all the other people in my life around that season, including one of my aunts that got diagnosed with cancer and died, which I believe certain lifestyles promote certain things. Certain lifestyles promote healing and others don't. And so I was like, I want to live a life that promotes healing. And I learned about the whole food plant-based diet. I started, just devouring all the research I could. And after, going all in with plants, I began to see a drastic difference in my health, which we could talk about now or later. And I was just sold. And then I was like, I got to teach people about this. And so here we are.
And you're so good at it. And did you notice, like, I know a lot of people notice a huge difference in how they feel and their happiness. Did you notice that as well?
Oh yeah. Like for number one, I wasn't constipated anymore. So I was like happy that I could go to the bathroom. That alone, like when you have a really good bowel movement, it does something to your psyche. It does something to your emotions. That alone, starting the day off like that, it just supercharges you for the day. I was happier. I also felt more in tune with God. I'm a very spiritual person. And I just felt like I could think better when I went to the Bible. I felt like I could understand better. And I just felt overall happier. And yeah, I could actually get out of bed and not feel fatigued.
Wow. And how has it changed your life? Like, I know for me, I went raw in 2016, raw vegan, and it completely changed my whole entire life. It led me to
Oh,
my
yeah.
passion, my purpose, YouTube, changed most of the relationships in my life, changed just everything. So has this health journey sort of like changed your life as a whole as well?
Oh, yeah. Because this was definitely not my like career track, let's say. Like I'm totally a health buff. Like I was into health and all that
Mm.
before. But then when I realized how powerful this was and how many people needed it, like everyone, like my thing is if you are not well, you cannot accomplish the God-given unique purpose you have. So as much as you're talented or blessed and can do all these things, if your health is jacked up, you can't move forward. But if your health is well, you can move forward. And I was like, this connects to like everything in life. And so that's when I went out and started studying, got my certifications and whatnot. So it definitely, my health and how I've been impacted has definitely impacted the way I relate, what I do now for living and whatnot. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so crazy about the parasite. I didn't know that about your story. That is insane.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely because of the parasite.
That's crazy. And so I'm wondering, that's just, I get it though. Like, I'm wondering if you've done any parasite cleansing. I know a couple years into my raw journey, I saw a video about enemas and I was like, let me try an enema. I saw a YouTube video and I just did an enema while on a clean raw diet and I saw a bunch of parasites come out. And I was like, you what? Like, I was so disgusted. I was so freaked out. I didn't even think I could go to sleep.
Yeah,
Cause then I read that they're like active in the middle of the night. I was like, tripping in my head
I know.
so much. It was so crazy. But this led me on a big parasite cleanse. Like I ate foods that were like they say get rid of them, like pineapple,
Yeah,
garlic,
yeah.
pumpkin seeds, all these things. And I got rid of a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
until I stopped seeing them. Then I stopped like the cleanse. But did you do a parasite cleanse? And as somebody who is like a nutritionist, how do you advise people? Do you have like a parasite cleanse protocol as well?
Yeah. So there's so many great things out there. I think there are so many different ways to get to the same result, right?
Hmm.
You have things like some people do senna, which is I think a little difficult because it can hurt so much. But there, what I decided to do is I jump started my whole food plant-based journey with a juice challenge, actually. So I did, and part of my lifestyle right now is very high raw. So when I started, I definitely went high raw, fully raw with the juice. And in addition, I did what you said. I did the enemas. Some people do coffee enemas because of the stimulation that it gives from the caffeine in that way to just giving you this high boost. Some people just do lemon to alkalinize. Some people do garlic for the parasites. But all of it is cleaning the colon, the intestines, and so you're getting rid of the parasites, and then coupling that with some type of herbal pill that has things like cascara sagrada
Hmm.
and senna, garlic, clove. All those things are going to attack the parasites, fulvic acid, and then help you just eliminate on the juice cleanse. That's my preferred method. Some
Hmm.
people do those herbs without a juice cleanse and just doing, high raw for the time being, and that works too. So there's no like specific protocol, but the one thing I would definitely say is some type of juice challenge. I find that that is the fastest way to reboot the body. I mean, you can do it many other ways, but if you wanted just a quick fix, I'd say the juice challenge.
Yeah.
In
And how,
fact,
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
And yeah,
I was like,
I was gonna ask, how was your juice challenge? So like your first juice cleanse, like how many have you done? How long have you gone? And like what have been the other benefits you've experienced with those?
yeah. So about every 6 months, I do some sort of, since I've been
Mhm.
breastfeeding and having babies and stuff, I haven't been able to do it as consistently because,
Mhm.
it kind of messes with the breast milk and whatnot. And you don't want to do that, especially, while you're pregnant, you find other ways to cleanse. But, about every 6 months or so, just a full on juice challenge and just kind of like a spring cleaning for the intestines. I'm a firm believer. I'm a
Yeah,
firm believer.
me
Yeah.
too. I did
No matter how
37.
clean you eat.
Yeah, me too. I did 37 days once and I never felt better in my life. It's such an amazing experience. I think too, as long as you're like, for me, I need to feast on a juice cleanse and drink a lot, not limit. And then I feel amazing.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thriving. You can still live your life, work, do everything as well. And I know
Oh,
you
yeah.
mentioned you had psoriasis and a few other things. So through the whole foods plant based, through the juicing, through everything, were you able to get rid of that and get rid of everything?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, and it
More
hasn't
cystic
flared up at
acne.
all. Because you see people, like even celebrities like Kim Kardashian, people that are really open about struggling with psoriasis and things like that. Do you
Yeah.
ever think, "Oh, I
Yeah.
just wish I could tell some of these people, like, look, you can't there is like a way to reverse it for some people," you know?
I'm gonna be honest, girl. I was the type, my psoriasis was so bad that I had bleeding behind my ears,
Wow.
cracks. I would be in class and I would just get people randomly commenting about my skin. I was really self conscious. It's nothing like feeling like you can't show who you truly are because you're bleeding and because you're always getting these comments. When I went whole food plant, actually, when I went vegan, I saw a change just in
Mhm.
doing that alone, just in eliminating the meat and the cheese and the milk and all of that,
Wow.
the eggs.
Yeah.
Then when I went whole food plant based, I started actually glowing. Like I was like, hold up a second, this is like on a whole nother level. I've never, ever had a psoriasis flare up again. And
Wow.
that's because I later understood the foods that truly triggered the flare ups for me. You know, there's something in going vegan or whole food plant based or going all raw, right? But there's another thing in actually knowing what triggers your body because gluten may trigger it for you, whereas milk may trigger it for me. You know, I
True.
know some like
True.
for me, I can't eat bread with yeast. I know that if I have a piece of bread, I'm going to get an acne flare up. I've never gotten a psoriasis flare up, but if I do that, for me, I'm just going to get the flare up. For some people, they can eat tons of bread, but if they have some eggs, they get the flare up. So it's knowing your body, and I've been able to. It's been so many years now. I've been able to kind of fine tune what works and what doesn't.
And how long ago has it been exactly? When did it how many years ago was it now that when you started? Like, so since like a psoriasis flare up set?
Wow, I want to say about 15 years now. I've been on
Wow.
this journey since that turkey experience has been about 20. And I've just
Yeah.
kind of been on the road, just learning ups and highs and lows. And then, going whole food plant based, like just going all in, I would say about 10 years.
Amazing. Congratulations. So amazing. I wonder what would have happened with your life if you didn't take this route. You know, that's what I always like asking people. It's like, I wonder where you'd be if you didn't
Yeah.
like wake up to all this,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I'd be sick or not
Mhm.
or not living with the trajectory of the way things have gone, with certain family members and whatnot. I'm just so thankful to God that I know what I know. And that's why I could respect what you're doing so much because you have no clue, Jillian. You're doing this and it's a passion you have. But little do you know, I really do believe that. And for me as well, the impact we have on lives. Someone's watching this, they're tuning into your channel and they're like, man, I heard that juice is really good for my body. I have cancer and whatnot. Then they hear these interviews. They know it's possible. They see how gorgeous you are. They see your hair, your skin, your vibrance. And then they're like, I think I want to do this. Next thing you know, they're healed. And then it catapults to blessing someone else. Like,
You know what? You're
I'm just so
so
thankful
right.
I'm here.
Yeah, you are so right. I'm not being like, you're right about the gorgeous part, but the message and everything. You are so right. And I didn't really realize, like, I see comments and stuff, and I didn't really realize the impact like this channel has and other channels like this. And your messages, even too, the same thing until I
Wow.
hosted an in person event last summer in Laguna with Lou Corona. I don't know if you know Lou Corona. He's in his 70s, he's super healthy. And just all the people flooding up to me in
Yeah.
person saying how the
Amazing.
content has changed her life. And this one woman crying, saying she was really sick. She had to sell her house and live out of her car to like juice, smoothies, all these things. And she saved her life, essentially. She saved her life. She was like crying. I was just like, wow. So you're right. Sometimes I really have to remember that. It's so amazing. And thanks for saying that. And I'm just wondering when you transitioned and you started healing, what do you remember what exactly you were eating? Like, what was your protocol and how has the way you eat evolved over the years, maybe to like how you eat now?
Yeah. So I was a big rice and beans girl when I started off. I did
Mm.
my whole food plant-based journey. I started that off with a juice challenge. After I did that, I did a lot of high raw, which is still a staple in my life. But somewhere along the lines after doing the high raw, I went more into like the rice and the beans and a lot of that, not as much raw. And though I was still thriving, I don't think I was healing as much on a cellular level as my body was craving. And when I pivoted more to the high raw, I started feeling a lot better and I started seeing changes just overall with my hair. My skin just seemed like my acne pits began to heal even more, which is really hard to get rid of, which I still have. I still have my acne pits. However, they're not as bad as I think they could have been if it weren't for being a little bit more proactive with alkalinizing through the 𝙢𝑼𝙑.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just lots of fruits and vegetables, of course, and not limiting those. Like that's my protocol for life. Just feasting on those. And if whether that's through a smoothie, whether that's through a juice, whether that's a huge salad, like I try to have at least a smoothie that's chock full of, like, I don't care how it tastes. I'm just putting my greens in there. I'm putting my protein in there. I'm putting my seeds in there and whatever. And then I know like this is a good vehicle to get all that good stuff in. And that's just something that, I could harp on for days.
Yeah. So wouldn't you say with your acne, like it was totally what you were putting in on the inside? Because I know a lot of people try these creams and want like quick fixes and think it might be
Oh
like a quick
yeah.
fix. Yeah.
I was medicated and that wasn't helping me.
Mm.
One thing that really did help, the enemas. I did notice that when I did the cleansing, when I did those challenges, like the enemas did something. I think it was just, sometimes you have all this crap, up in your intestines and you just need to get it out. You need something to push it out. And then it kind of just, your skin is your largest organ.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are detoxifying, you're going to see that on your skin. And when it's at its peak, you're going to see that as well.
Yeah. And your hair, your hair, I've seen your hair video. Your hair has had such a huge transformation. So
Yes.
what do you attribute that to?
I would definitely say, well, I can say the diet, but I'm going to say two things.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us, for many years, I was told that because of my genetics, I couldn't grow long hair. And my hair was stagnant for that reason, because it was never intended to grow long. So I just had this false belief, right? And so later, after doing lots of research, trial and error, I discovered that healthy hair hinges on two things, two critical factors. Genes is part of it, but there's something that I think that is even more important, and I call them like the hair twin. It's internal healing and external hair care. Internal, you can call it internal care too. And so a lot of us get the external hair care part, right? We use the products and we get the protein, whatever for the hair, but we forget how important the internal part is. And so when I put the internal and the external hair care together, I started seeing an amazing difference in how my hair functioned. And it just started growing like Rapunzel.
Wow. And what are your secrets? Like, what do you use externally? And what are maybe some foods or like tips you have for different things that work for our hair?
Yeah. Well, I think whenever I'm working with someone and we're talking about hair and we're just trying to get their hair, to a healthy place, the first thing I say is to know your body, because a lot of us, I think diet is only one part of it. Diet is like an entire toolbox. You have all of these amazing tools at your disposal, but you don't know which tool to use all the time. But if you figure out what's broken, then you can go to the right tool and use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell them, start with some micronutrient testing. So you see exactly what your body is lacking in. So for example, your body, your hair might be turning gray before it's time. And you don't realize that this is not necessarily because you're getting old, but it's because you're lacking, in copper or selenium. Mm-hmm. And so the micronutrient testing, what it does is it can tell you exactly what you need more of. I also say to get a CBC, know what your blood count is, know if you're iron deficient, because a lot of women have hair loss primarily because of iron deficiency, and it's an easy thing to fix. So know what you're lacking in. And I discovered that I was anemic, and I didn't even realize that was contributing to a whole gamut of things with my hair.
And that was before you were vegan, right? Before you went like whole foods plant-based, the anemia, or after?
But even while I was vegan, I was doing a lot of the white processed products, a lot of the veggie meat. And I was getting my sustenance, but I wasn't thriving. I wasn't eating foods that thrive, So that's my first hair secret, like know what you need, because this product may be great for her, but it may not be what you need, Jillian, you know?
Yeah, good
So,
point.
and then the second hair secret I would say is know your food. You know, if you are iron deficient, then figure out what foods are going to attack that and address that. For example, beets became my bestie. Why? Because they are super high in iron and it has all that nitric oxide. And so coupling that with vitamin C so you can absorb the iron and you're juicing that almost on a daily basis, like your hair is going to thrive. And then and let's say, for example, if you're low in selenium, if your micronutrient test comes back, you don't have to go out and get a pill. I mean, you can, but maybe consider Brazil nuts that are super high in selenium. And so knowing your food, once you understand what your body needs, and then coupling that with knowing what foods you need to attack that, you have a dynamic duo. Some foods that I love that I can take to the bank and cash are carrots. They have biotin.
Oh, they do? I didn't even realize that. Wow.
Yeah, carrots have biotin. Just raw food is just amazing. Whole food, plant-based, amazing. Carrots have biotin. They also have beta carotene, which is the precursor for vitamin A. And then you have, I think I got that right. If I didn't, then someone's going to correct me.
I think so too. Someone will. I think so too.
And then you have cucumbers, which are high in silica, and silica is amazing for your hair. And then you have your nuts and your seeds and things like legumes that are high in protein, and your hair is like 90% protein, so like those are like 3 secret weapons right there. Avocado is great as well. Foods that I love. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. And I'm sure since this is what you do, you help people with this. I'm sure you see people have big transformations. Do you see that when people go whole food, plant-based? What is like maybe a trend or what are maybe some things you see?
Yeah. I see a couple of things. For a lot of women as well, hormones, that's another hair growth hater, I call it. When your hormones are off and when you go whole food plant-based, it really helps to just balance out a lot of those hormones for a lot of women. Some women are too estrogen high. Some women actually don't have enough estrogen. So they go into that perimenopause stage and then that begins to jack your hair up.
Wow.
So knowing, just making sure that you're eating a balanced whole food plant-based diet, not just, okay, well, I'm going to go whole food plant-based, but all I'm going to eat is beans.
True. Yeah, good point. Not just eating the same thing, making sure you're getting everything. I think that's really important.
Yeah. And then the high raw thing is just, is super important. Just, I think you can't have enough, raw things going into your body. But I think I answered your question. You said, it's a whole food plant.
Yeah. And how often do you check your blood work? And are there any like key things that you supplement?
Yeah. So I check my blood work like every year or so just to make sure that I'm on track. But it kind of just always comes back the same and I'm good. When I'm pregnant, which I've had 3 babies in the past 10 years, I've noticed that it's easy for the iron levels to dip. And my secret weapon with that has been blackstrap molasses with vitamin C.
Wow.
Taking that in the morning. Yeah. Couple that with vitamin C, the blackstrap molasses, and it just kind of just goes back up. So I just make sure that I'm doing a lot of that coupled with the juicing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And what are you currently eating in a day? People will always want to know that. So I have to ask that.
Yeah. So lots of juices, lots of smoothies. I do my superfood smoothie. I got my alfalfa sprouts in there. I got my leafy greens in there. I put my beet in there. Lots of kale. Like this morning, my smoothie was supercharged with celery. It was more like a salad smoothie, but it had celery and it had wheatgrass. It had some leafy greens in there. It had an apple, some water, maybe some walnuts for the brain. I'll chug that down and I feel great. I might have some oats. I may not. May just be a smoothie bowl. And then for lunch, I may do like a huge loaded salad. Sometimes it's just it's sweet potato with a little salad and some, like chili beans on top with some avocado to the side, really yummy. Maybe with a cashew, spread or something like that. And then for dinner, I might have a nice chia seed pudding with tons of fruit on top, Sometimes it'll be something like a soup. Sometimes it'll be another smoothie. But I'm making sure that I'm hitting my fruits, my vegetables, my legumes, my tubers, and tubers, like potatoes and carrots, whatnot, and my nuts and my seeds. And I'm making sure that I'm getting that throughout the day, and a
Yeah,
rainbow
wow.
of it.
That all sounds so good. And you've been doing this. I love chia pudding too and all those things, but you've been doing this for a while now and you have a lot of experience. You know so much. Do you feel like there's anything you would do different if you were to start over now or like any mistakes you've made on this whole food plant-based path?
Yeah, I think so. I think number one, don't be hard on yourself. I used to feel like when I first started off, I was like, I gotta get it right. I gotta get it right. It's not like this. And like, if you fall off the
Mhm.
bandwagon, it's okay. Just get back up,
Mhm.
Like, just do you, do the best that you can do. And I think, I know, contrary to what it sounds like I'm saying, I wouldn't be so strict. Like, I think there was a time when I was like, no, you can't even have one little.
Yeah.
And there's freedom and there's freedom and being free. Like, doesn't mean that you're going to binge on something, but if I want to have a little dessert every now and then, it's okay. If it has something that I don't always eat all the time, it's okay. Just let the bulk of your life be the ideal. And if you come into a situation where you're out to eat with some friends and the food, like, I'm very low oil, I avoid oil when I can as much as possible. And if I'm out with some friends and there's a soup that has some oil in it, I'm like, no, I'm not going to eat.
Yeah.
Just, it's okay. I think I had that
Yeah.
mentality before and it was kind of messing with me. And then I just kind of had to just like relax, especially after I started working with people. I'm like, man, just, you
Yeah.
don't have to be so uptight. Like, I'm telling them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do better for myself. So that's
Yeah.
one thing, just in baby steps, right? You don't have to go cold turkey. Just do a little by little. And soon those steps turn into leaps.
Yeah, I love that. And do you have any keys to success for people like staying on track? A lot of people want to eat this way, go like whole foods, plant-based or raw, or just like eat healthier, but they have a hard time because like most of the world still eats a lot of crap, right? And it's hard to kick the
Yeah.
cravings from the foods that they're used to, like all those years or all those decades. So, any
Yeah.
advice for like just how to stick to it? Like you've done a great job at that for almost a couple decades. So, like any advice there?
Yeah. I would definitely say, like, I think like a super weapon that a lot of people downplay, Jillian, are smoothies.
Hmm.
Like,
I agree.
yeah, like, and you're drinking like an amazing one right now. What's that? Like strawberries and bananas or something?
Strawberry banana, this vanilla protein powder, and some almond milk.
Oh, looks so good. Like,
It
I
was
want that.
really good. It's good.
I know.
They're so
It looks
filling.
good.
You're right, though. They're so filling and they're really good for keeping on track. I agree.
And don't you feel like, I don't know, but what do you say? Like, do you think that helped you with any cravings that you had? Like, after you have a good smoothie, you just feel like
You
you
feel
feel
so
nourished, right?
satisfied. And juicing. Like I try juice as much as I
Yes.
can. I try juice every day. I love like a lot of different green juices. But green juicing just really makes me feel so good and so high vibe, like nothing else.
Yeah.
So then I'm not
Mhm.
like, oh, I want to eat that crap because you're just like feeling so good on like and on such a good frequency that you don't want like the lower frequency foods like donuts or processed foods or crap foods. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I would tell someone like, hey, if there's nothing else you can do, go ahead and get yourself a good blender. If you want to get a juicer, even better.
Hmm.
But make sure that you're having some type of liquid that is nutrient dense. Put all the stuff in there, mask it with some dates, drink it, and you're going to feel so much better. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to want to run to the donut because your body just got that satisfaction feeling that it
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
do you ever have animal products? Do you have like salmon or chicken now and then? Or is it just like never ever since the turkey
Yeah.
parasite?
No, I haven't. I haven't
Wow.
had meat in like 17, 18 years since I've been on that
Wow.
journey.
Well,
Mhm.
that would do it for a lot of people, I think. That's just crazy. I haven't heard too many stories like that, but I do think a lot of things have parasites in them. Like you see under a microscope with a lot of fish. I've seen stories of the parasites and I had them in me when I did that parasite cleanse. I think a lot
Oh,
of
yeah. Me
living
too.
beings have them now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you could get them. You could go to a public restroom, open up the doorknob and get them. Like it's so easy. You could just be, you could be doing all the great things and then,
True.
shake someone's hand and it's just the world we live in, right? And I think that's why it's so important to make sure that you are cleaning yourself on a consistent basis. You did ask me about supplements and I'm a believer in supplementation, not because I think that in an ideal world, you don't need them, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you live in the generation that we live in, even eating the foods that are said to have all the nutrients sometimes are void of them. So sometimes you need that extra push. When I was pregnant, I was still on a whole food plant-based diet, but I wanted to make sure that my baby developing inside
Yeah.
of me was getting everything they needed. So I did supplement. I did a whole food supplement, a liquid vitamin, and I was good. Sometimes I'm on it with the supplements, sometimes I'm not. But for me, a supplement is a juice as well, a good vegetable
Mhm.
juice that is chock full of nutrients. And, during the winter months, I supplement some vitamin D, coupled with K. That works for me. And just depending on the season of my life, when I'm breastfeeding, definitely some type
Mhm.
of something to kind of fill in any gaps in case there are any, because I don't want to be messing, with the breast milk and
True.
having the
Yeah.
baby during that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Well said. And if somebody's like, oh, I want to get started, I want to try whole food plant based, I want to get started like next week. What's some advice you would give people on like how to get started? I feel like that's a big question and a big thing.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is your why. Like, why do you want to do this? Because
Hmm.
I said like, oh, I'm going vegetarian. Like, I'm throwing out all the meat. And then, the week after I was at the Chinese restaurant munching on my General Gao's chicken because I smelt it whoop in the air. And then I was like, oh, that
Yeah.
turkey again. Oh no, and then I just
Yeah.
kept going back and forth. So what's your why? Is it because of the turkey or is it because of your health? The parasite, or is it your health or is it both? Establish your why. Number two, it's the funnest and the best time to go exploring and dreaming. Go on the internet and look up into, recipes that you really like or things that you love. Like, let's say you love mac and cheese. Go online and see how you can veganize it. And then, maybe on one side of your paper, write all the things that you like. Okay, I like beef chili. I like vegan mac and cheese. I like General Gao's chicken. And then I would say on the other side, look for some recipes that veganize them and then write them down and then try to master at least one dish that you really like. And you can have that dish on repeat. I'd also get good at making smoothies. Their smoothies are not hard. They're not hard. And
Mm-mm.
I think I was a little naive when I met someone who didn't know how to make a smoothie. I was like, you don't know how to make a smoothie? Like, I was like, I thought everyone knew how to make smoothies. And it's not common sense for everyone. So
True.
master it. Master making smoothies. And it's not hard. It's just basically a rainbow of good stuff. Put in your fruit. Maybe you want some greens and you want some seeds. And sometimes you might want to do some hemp seed powder for some protein.
Hmm.
And, blend that up with some milk or some water and get used to that. So yeah, I think that would be part of my process. And then of course, later, make sure that you have some type of meal plan game in mind because you don't want to just like say I'm going whole food plant based and then next thing you know you're like I don't know what I'm going to eat tomorrow. Back to
Hmm.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
So just getting a system in place to prepare you before you launch in. It's like preparing for a marathon.
Yeah. Do you have any recipe books or no, or any books?
I don't have any books. I am launching in just a couple of days. By the time you release this,
Yeah.
we're launching a healthy hair juice challenge, actually.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, so it's going to be all about helping you lose weight while addressing the internal self, but also the hair.
Yeah.
It's catered specifically for hair health. So for anyone who's interested in that, if you want to get your health on point and your hair on point, that's something that we're going to be offering. I don't have any recipe books, Jillian, but I hope I
Yeah.
can. In the meantime, but in the meantime, on
Yeah.
YouTube, we have tons of recipes. So people want
So
to check
true.
that out, they can
Well,
as
that
well.
sounds amazing. I'll link your page down below and everything you have when this is up. And then I have a great, easy, raw vegan recipe book. So if that's your thing, I'll put that down below. It's amazing. And I know a
Yeah,
lot of people go into
nice.
this and they're like, oh, I want to take care of myself, but it's just so freaking expensive. Like, how do you do it? So do you have any tips for
Yeah.
how people can do this out there and like not break the bank and keep within like some sort of budget?
Oh, yeah. I actually have a video on that. I have
Oh,
like
good. Me
all the
too. I'll
cheapest
link both
foods
our
and
videos on that below because I think that's important too. That's a good
good.
topic. Mhm.
I think it's a good topic, especially because a lot of people think healthy means expensive.
Yeah,
And actually, a lot of people go vegan because they want to save money. So you have a lot of people who think, oh my
true.
gosh, I can't do this. But then the people who are informed know that the beans are going to be cheaper than the $10 steak. So
True.
they go, exactly. Like, I think the last time I checked, an average steak is like 4 times the price as a bag of beans. And I don't even want to say 4 times. I think it was a lot more
You're
than
right.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty crazy. You're right.
Or a carton of eggs, is just so much more money than,
And yeah, like
um,
rice and beans and quinoa, like these things. And you can find a lot of raw foods now if things are
yeah,
in season or buy them by the case from like the
yeah.
produce manager. There are definitely ways to keep it all within budget, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. And like cucumbers are cheap, cabbage is cheap, zucchini is cheap. A bag of carrots, it's not, you're not going to break the bank, but you
Hmm.
can break the bank if you're buying, a lot of meat. Meat is expensive. A lot of cheese, salmon is expensive. Fish is expensive, especially if you want to get higher quality. It's expensive. So you could definitely go whole food plant based and not break the bank. And I would say stick to the produce aisle. The produce, and you
Yeah,
don't. Another thing is, Jillian, I used to think that organic was best. And while organic is best, it may not be the best choice for someone who's saying, I'm not going to go whole food plant based because it's not organic and I
true.
can't afford organic.
True.
I
Sometimes I
say,
buy an organic. Just do the best you can, you know?
do, thank you. Do the best you can.
Yeah.
Do the best you can.
Yeah. And I just think the whole food, the even if you don't want to be raw like me, like the whole foods plant-based is just the best way to go. And that I think that is just the best way to make up like the bulk of your diet. Not like, it's so excessive now, the meat consumption, the processed foods. And I just interviewed Scott Bernhard. Bernard, I posted a reel with him today and he was saying like if you don't detox and you're constantly consuming things that aren't meant for your human biology, like all the processed foods, the processed meats, all the crap, it's just gonna rot. It's gonna rot inside. What's that gonna turn into? Just rotten, right? It's like we gotta clean out, get healthy. And the whole food plant-based, it just changes our life. And for you, like what has been the greatest part about your whole health journey? What has just been the best thing about all of this?
The fact that I'm helping others, it's not an insular thing, Jillian.
I love that.
It's the fact that I'm helping others. Like, I want to leave a legacy when I die. I don't know when that's going to be. For some people, it's tomorrow. For some people, it's 80 years from now. But whenever my time comes, and I've come to this realization because I just recently lost my dad. And I started thinking deeply about the legacy I want to leave. Do I want to be known as someone who she was really great in what she did, but she didn't really do anything for people versus, man, she lived her life to make people's lives easier. Because of her, I feel like this generation can propel. And yeah, I think it's the greatest thing. The fact that I can transform lives and I can help people live longer. I can help people spend time with their family. I can teach them a better way. I recently worked with someone, a diabetic, who I put on a juice challenge. And he called me almost in tears because 3 days before he started drinking the juices, he could hardly see the street signs on the road. And 3 days after doing the juicing, coupled with, some other protocols that we had him on, he was driving, Jillian, and he said, I can actually see the road signs. And he was just so excited. That alone, that his vision got better in 3 days.
Unreal. I believe it. That's unreal. I love it. Yeah, stuff like that is just wow. And it's just crazy now
So
how many
proud.
people have diabetes. It's becoming such a big thing. Like I personally know a lot of people here in Toronto. Wow, it's snowing a lot out right now. I personally know a lot of people here in Toronto, Canada who have it. And I just know around the world, in the US, everywhere, so many people are getting it. And I just interviewed Lawrence Richardson. I don't know if you know him, but he went whole foods, plant-based, high raw, completely reversed his diabetes because his doctor was like, you're diabetic and it's getting really bad. Like you have to go plant-based. And he went plant-based and he completely reversed it in 9 months, was off all medication. And then I just interviewed somebody else, Marie-Lucie Jacob, I think was her name, and she had diabetes as well. And she did a 52-day juice cleanse and reversed it. And then she did another 100 days and went raw vegan, but she completely reversed it. She's had no other symptoms. So it's just, it's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Oh yeah. A lot of us don't realize, I think, that you can be in control. A lot of us may feel like I don't have control over this sickness or this illness, but you can choose what you put in your body. And what you put in your body can be the medicine that you need to heal. And a lot of us, because we don't feel like we have a choice, we just end up taking the pills, and the pills, they hurt something else. And next thing you know, you're on a downward spiral. But you can choose.
You can choose. And when you do choose the better foods, and it does have the power to change your life, when those moments happen, like I know for me, when I went raw and gave up all the bad food and started eating raw, clean foods, whole foods, it's such an amazing moment in time. It's such an amazing experience. So like I encourage you, if somebody's watching, you're going through a hard time and you think, oh, maybe it is the foods I'm eating, I encourage you, just try for 30 days. Like just try eat, even if you don't want to be raw, whole foods, plant-based, all clean, nothing processed, nothing crap for 30 days. And instead of like dreading it, like, oh, how am I going to go without the wine or go without the burger? Like it could be the most magnificent time of your life. Cause that's what happened to me. I didn't even know how it felt to truly feel good or truly feel like myself until I started eating clean and completely gave up the crap.
And you're glowing. You really are.
Thanks.
And
I feel amazing.
I don't know what it was like. Yeah. I don't know what it was like before this point for you. You've been on this journey for how long, Jillian?
It was bad. So I've been on this journey for 7 years. Before that, I had a lot of digestive problems. They said I was allergic to gluten. I had panic attacks, sinusitis. They said I had really bad acne or back acne, like really bad.
Yeah.
Like it was so embarrassing. I couldn't even wear a bikini. Yeah, and all kinds of things. And then when I stopped eating, dairy, gluten, all the crap, I noticed huge changes too. Even just removing gluten within 24 hours, I was like, whoa, my brain fog is gone. I feel like my anxiety gone. I feel so much better. And then you start to realize, right? So just start removing some things. And then your body is just like, oh, wow, what a relief. You're not giving me the crap, right? And it just can evolve and change your life in so many ways. But for somebody watching, like, I know you're such a great speaker. I really admire you. I think you're so good at your videos, at speaking, at what you do. What if somebody's watching and they're going through a hard time? Like, do you have any advice? I know you mentioned the loss of your father. I'm really sorry about that. If somebody's watching and they're going through loss or struggle with their health, or they're like in a low place, do you have any advice how to get through those times, and anything you've used in your life?
Oh, yeah. There are 3 things that I do. It's just like my secret weapon. Whenever I find myself in a low place, and I know not everyone ascribes to this, for me, this is what's helped me, right? I have what I call morning devotions. And it's kind of like my pep me up for the day. And during that time, like I'm actually doing a 90-day covenant with God where I'm asking God for some really big, amazing things. I've never said this publicly. And what I do during that time in the morning for an hour, and this means that I'm getting up at 3:45 to do this, but it has transformed my life specifically just recently because the attacks on us are so real. The attacks on our marriages, the attacks on our children, the attacks on our finances, the attacks on our mental psyche. And my marriage is good. My children are good. And I praise God for that. But it's like when you're in those good moments, you have to especially have some type of guard on to protect yourself. Because so many people are going through things around me. And it's just a matter of time where the enemy tries to throw a blow, at you. So one thing I do is I get up in the morning and I have that powwow with God. I tell him what I need. I cry, snots. It's like my personal therapist. And I just open up the Bible and I just like, talk to me. For some people, they just need to just sit down and process what they're going through and write that down. Sometimes you're going so fast and you completely have all this stuff built up. You've not verbal vomited, you know? So it's like you want to go to the bathroom in the morning, but then sometimes you're so constipated with emotions, you need a place to take that out too. I feel so much better, especially on this 90-day journey that I've been on.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just been transformative. So that's the one thing I would say for someone who's really going through a hard time. You know, consider talking to God. You know, I've learned for me, Jesus is my best friend, and I have no one else that I could talk to like him. And that's me. That's what I do, right? Another thing I would suggest to someone is to realize that it gets better. It gets better. I don't know what you're experiencing right now. I don't know what pain you're experiencing. I don't know what loss you've experienced. But if you could hold on and know that it gets better, know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, know that healing comes, you can keep going. It's like being on, I don't know, the vision I get in my mind right now is being on a treadmill and knowing that you have to fit 30 miles. Let's say it's like something bogus, like 30 miles that you're trying to run, and you're on that 29th mile. You might want to give up. And that's when it's hardest. I've noticed that's when it's hardest in your life is when things are about to go up. It's like a wheel. When things go down, they're going to come up. So if you hold on to that and say it's going to get better, next thing you know, it's better. And then you will have a testimony to share with others so they could make it through. And the third thing I would say is eat something good. Eat something good. If you like to eat smooth, and we're talking about healthy food, right? If you like smoothies and they make you feel good, have another smoothie if that makes you feel good. It could be that it's producing some good stuff in your brain to help you, push through. You don't have to turn to the alcohol. You don't have to turn to the Xanax. You don't have to turn to the pills. Find that stuff in God's storehouse, in his food. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of food that fights depression. Like you said, you started feeling different, like you were on a whole different wavelength. Like
With real food, with food that God intended, right? It makes you feel
real.
more closer to God when you're eating the foods that God created and God intended for us to eat, or like living foods or real foods, right?
Yeah. So find that time with him in the morning, set a special appointment time with him. Maybe it's not an hour. Like an hour for me is really hard right now for me, but I'm doing it because I think for me, I'm trying to change some brain connections. I know that after a certain amount of time, when you've done something for so long, it starts to do something. So I'm kind of like experimenting on myself at the same
True.
time. But sometimes it's just 5 minutes. Make sure you take that time to talk, let it out, receive some type of inspiration, and draw from that for strength for the day, right?
Wow.
The second thing, know that it gets better. It's not going to always stay like this, sis, bro. It's not going to always stay like this. It's going to get better. And then the third thing is eat something. Eat something that's going to help you. Drink some juice, make that smoothie, make that big salad. And you have that strategy and you keep that on repeat, you're going to be in a better and a healthier place.
See, this is why I brought you on. You're such a good speaker. It's insane. I swear you were like a preacher or a big speaker in your past life because it just hits a chord. Like it just hits a chord. You can tell it's just coming from your soul, It's really good. And that was really good advice for somebody going through a hard time. I think that was the best advice I've seen someone give on the channel. And I feel like if I'm going through a hard time, I'm just going to watch that clip over and over because that was really good. And you're really inspiring. Are there any books or people or like podcasts that are regulars for you or have really changed your life or really inspire you?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not like, just to be honest with you, I'm not
Mm,
like, I don't have like one podcast that I listen to all the time. But sometimes I'll just, when I'm just researching the latest stuff out there, I'll just listen to some stuff and I'll just say, what's the latest research on this? And whatever comes up, I'll just consume. But one thing that really inspires me, actually, and I think anyone can tap into this, is think about the people in your life who didn't make it because of lifestyle choices. Think about the people, the friends. That right there, it does something to me. Like, you know, I've read like How Not to Die, and that's one thing, back in the day, the China Study, and those are like great books, and plant-based transition books. But I think there's something that is important to say about making sure you're good in here and knowing why, and knowing that there's a reason. Like whenever I think about my dad, it gives me fuel to keep going. I got to leave my legacy. With my children, I see them growing up. I know that one day they're going to have a choice on what to eat. And like we're whole food plant-based at home. Everyone is. But one day they're going to leave the house and they're going to make their own decisions, right? How am I living right now to inspire them to make the proper decisions? And one thing that helps me to keep going is thinking about the people who didn't have that inspiration, who unfortunately chose the wrong decisions and are not here today, or in a nursing home very early at 50 years old. Come on. Or the person, that looks like they're 60 at 35 when that really shouldn't be the case. That's kind of what gives me inspiration. And of course, staying up on my literature, making sure that I know what's going on. Gregor, I love him. He always has some good stuff. I love Chef AJ's. She has a couple of books that have inspired me, and awesome food, her recipes. That's something that's helped me. There are a bunch of bloggers and podcasters out there that I've listened to throughout the years. I can't just say one off the top of my head because there's so many that have just inspired me, and they've just filled my toolbox so I could help someone else.
Well said. You're amazing. Well, I've loved having you on. I've loved hearing your story, and you just have so much to offer. And I'd love for you to let everybody. Oh, thanks. Thank you. And I'd love you to let everybody know, because people are going to want to know, where can I find you? So let everybody know where they can find you. And if they want to work with you, where they can find you to work with you and all that.
Yeah, of course. Well, you could DM me if you want to work with me, Choosing My Health via Instagram. I have some exciting opportunities coming up to work with people. So I'm really excited about pouring in that way. And of course, Choosing My Health on YouTube is, my platform where I teach people how to go whole food plant-based and thrive. And then, of course, I have my Healthy Hair Juice Challenge that's coming out that actually by the time this is released, will be up and running. And, if you want to hop on that wagon with us, we're going to be doing, going all out with juices with some smoothie support, because for some people, it's hard to just do all out juices. And we understand that. And I say we, because me and my husband are a team. You see me doing this stuff and talking, but he is the technical mind, and he's managing me, and he's saying, stay on target. So, we came up with this Healthy Hair Juice Challenge, and I'm so excited because it's what transformed me. It's actually what helped me, go whole food plant-based. And I'm really excited because I know it's going to help a lot of women conquer their health and their hair woes.
Yeah. And you help a lot of people, and you're amazing. It's been so nice talking to you. Thanks again for coming on. And to everybody, I'll put all the links down below. Go follow. Your channel's amazing. You're so good at making videos. And I really respect you. And I think you're amazing. So thanks again for coming on. And if you guys enjoyed this video, if it added some value, give it a big thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe for more awesome videos just like this one. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.